Pep Talk UK, Pro Bs, once again, up in Hertfordshire. Delighted to be joined once more by Tom, Not So Little.
That's it. I think Not So Little goes better than the Dubois, doesn't it?
Hey man, do you know what? I've got to say it's been a while. In person, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. It's been too long. Do you know what it is? I've tried distancing myself. I've tried getting closer to boxing. It's just that I've had that time where trying to work out what capacity do I want to be in boxing, because I've realised that I can't not be in boxing. It wasn't time with having a few fights. Time was like we've just said off air. Like I've got so many ideas that I'm struggling with, but I need to pick one and stick with it and stay true. That it's one of them things when you're first starting out again. You don't want to have too many irons in the fire at the first off. You can add them gradually. So I want to find out what idea appeals to me the most, and then just put heart, blood, sweat and tears, like I should have done with my early career in boxing. But no good crying over spilt milk. And I'm not about to start now.
So you're suggesting that potentially we could see the return of Tom Little once more?
Potentially, yeah, because I just miss fighting so bad. But I'd never fight at the level that I was fighting at. If I do come back, when I say fighting at the level, I won't be used as fodder. Because I know how to talk. I'll be chasing nothing other than personal redemption for what I feel like I robbed myself of. Nobody robbed me. I robbed myself of it through making different decisions. If I do come back, I'll have myself a few warm-up fights, get myself used to being the A side. Be the best way to put it. Then try and get an English title, something like that. If I do that. But I'm toying with that. I'm toying with the idea of management. I'm toying with the idea of media. I'm toying with the idea of becoming a coach. From being down at the bottom and thinking, what am I now? When I stand back and I've looked at it with clarity, I've so many opportunities at my feet. It's just making the choice and being bold enough to step out and say, right, we've got to do this. This is what we're going to do, and we're going to make it work. And that's what I'm going for. That's what I aim to do. Whatever I do next, I want to make sure I make an absolute success out of it. Is a long story short.
How different is it looking at boxing from the outside in now?
Do you know what? I've realised how fucked up a sport it is. I knew boxing is so political, so political. But when you look from an outside looking in, as nothing more than a spectator, as someone who used to be in it but is not in it no more, you think, do you know what? It's a funny old business. It's a funny old business, and there's sometimes I look at it and I think I'm best off out of it, and there's other times I look at it and I think I'd give anything to be back in it. And that's been my struggle for a while. That's been what's half calling me back, and then I was saying I'll have a little angel on my shoulder, i.e. Josh, saying, son, come on, you've served your apprenticeship. Don't sully what you've already done in boxing, which to me, I don't feel like I achieved anything. That's what makes me want to fight, because I don't feel like I achieved anything. I don't feel like I achieved what I should have achieved in boxing. Whereas, but when you look at it, the shows that I've been on, the nights that I've had, whether they be wins, loses, whatever they are, I've achieved more than a lot will. In some retrospects, there will be people that's achieved more than me, and there will be people that won't achieve half of what I have. And I think it's just a fact of coming to terms with being content with the hand that you're dealt. So yeah, I'm still figuring that out. I'm still figuring it out. That's a work in progress. Just me being happy. That's all I want. I just want to be happy, and that's how. I know one thing. The missus is more happy that I'm out of it. So she's more happy. I'm apparently more bearable. Other than that, it's boring as hell. It's boring as hell. I come to this place. This is like home. And when you come in here and you're not getting punched in the face, it's very different.
Yeah, getting punched in the face is addictive. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Believe it or not, it is. It's got so many addictive qualities to it. But he don't want me to get punched in the face no more. So boss says, boss goes.
Yeah. Now you've experienced some highs and lows in the game, and 1 minute you're on top of the world, and next minute you've got the fans, you've got some in the media looking down at you. Daniel Dubois fights this weekend, and this is someone as well who was on a blaze to glory, and obviously he had the Joe Joyce setback with a fractured eye, etc. Yeah. Again, you fought Daniel Dubois. How tough is it going to be to kind of get back in there and once more be a force, at heavyweight?
Well, the fear factor is going to be gone for a lot of people now. That fear factor, because they know they can get to him. And look, this ain't me being critical. It's me speaking the truth. There will always, whether he likes it or not, there will always be questions over his heart. I will speak from a fighter's point of view. Right, listen. Me and Daniel fought. Right? Me and Daniel fought. Them bones there was out the side of my hand. There, yeah? Right? Going into the second round. Watch the fight back. You'll see Don Charles telling me, jab, you need to jab. Why aren't you jabbing? Because that's all we worked on for what's name. Jabs, burying behind the jab. You see me lean forward so the camera don't hear me. I said, I can't jab my hand. Right, anyway, long story short, right, this is not me making excuses, right, because I got into this on the same with Queensbury put something up of him. Oh, this is what happens when you talk about when you because I brought his dad into stuff and whatever not. Now, for one, this is one thing I want to make 100% clear. I was not one bit disrespectful about his father, unlike he was to Joe Joyce's mum. Because I'm not like that. I wouldn't disrespect someone older than myself. I disrespect Daniel because he's my age and me and him can have a fight and cuff it out. No problem. But the one thing I didn't do and wouldn't do, whether my arm was hanging off, I wouldn't quit. I wouldn't take a knee. I wouldn't quit. Now listen, in hindsight, he's probably saved his own career. Right, but I had this whole thing with the Billy Joe scenario.
We'll get into that, yeah.
Right,
okay.
I had this whole thing with the Billy Joe scenario. it's like I've got Josh out there. The reason I listen to Josh, and the reason I do, is that because I didn't employ Josh to be brave for me. I employed Josh to make a decision for me that I will never ever make. Now there's a difference in you taking it that I think myself as fighters. I'm just saying from fighters' points of view, and this is what if you follow where I've been going with it. This is how another fighter will look at it. Was gonna face Daniel. He's took that choice into his own hands to take a knee and say I'm done. Whether it be for the right reason, wrong reason, or whatever reason, he's done it. So anybody getting ready to fight him knows if I put the pressure on, he has got it in him to do that. He will do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas you see some people, like, they're getting beat the snot out of, they got lumps on their head. Well, what was his name? That guy, the German guy, his head was like up here. Like, this guy looked like he had fluid on the brain. But you know you could hit that man with a car, and he'd still, if he can stand, he can fight. Now, like I just said, Daniel probably has saved his eyesight and his career, right? But you need to trust your corner to make that decision for you. But if you don't want the replications, so it could be a harder road back for him than if he just lost, if he got knocked out with one shot or whatever, because there's gonna be permanent question marks over him. Which, listen, the boy's young, he's talented, he's strong as a bull. There's no disputing that. But there will always be question marks now over his heart, and that's no. I was saying, listen, boxing is a funny sport, a funny sport. You get MMA, get a man in a chokehold and he taps out. That's quitting.
Yeah, it's part of the. Yeah.
That's quitting, but he's saving himself for another day. He don't want to get his neck snapped. Do you know what I mean? He tap out. He's saving himself for another day. In boxing, you take a knee, you're a quitter. You're no good. You're on the scrap heap. Do you know what I mean?
Is there a difference though? Because obviously in MMA, when you tap out, your oxygen supply might be cut off. You literally can't breathe.
Yeah, but
as opposed to boxing, you might have an injury, but you can still kind of. Do you know what I mean?
You can still fiddle around, I suppose, and whatever not. But listen, if your oxygen's cut off, then your oxygen's cut off. You'll go to sleep soon, like getting punched in the head, and getting you. That's all that knocks you out. Oxygen not going to your brain. Bang, gone. See you later. So. No, when you get knocked out, you're not a quitter. You got knocked out, yeah. So, to me, look, I don't think it's nice for someone to be called a quitter when you're getting up for hundreds of thousands of people for their entertainment, risking your life, risking your health, risking your well-being, and then for people just never ever put a glove on their hands to say the word quit, who couldn't stand in front of you, and to be honest with you, bro, they're not fit to wipe my ball sack out or get out the shower. And that's not what's saying. I probably couldn't do half the stuff that some of these people do on their day-to-day lives. But what I'm saying is that the moral of that story is stay in your fucking lane, right? But opinions are like arseholes. Everybody got them. 90% of them are full of shit. That's the top and bottom of that, isn't it? But what you need to understand is when it's a fighter saying about another fighter, he's got that right. He's got that right to say that because he's in the same industry. He's in the same. He could find himself in that same circumstance. But the moral of the story is there will be question marks on Daniel. there will be question marks on him, and it will be ones that stick with him. And I genuinely do hope, because I don't hold no bad feeling towards nobody. They never have done. I'm not like that. I hope he goes and proves everyone wrong and comes back and gets back on his horse and comes out on top. But he will have a different. People will bring a different mindset now to when they fight him.
You remember Kell Brook against Golovkin, and then he fought Errol Spence Jr. a bit later on. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
Exactly that, isn't it? It's exactly that. It's exactly that. People come with a different mindset then to fight, because they know. They know. Let me put it this way. If I sit and poke you with a stick once, yeah, sit there for, like, on one occasion, I think, right, poking 10 times with a stick, and then all of a sudden you jump up, rah, like you're gonna go mental. It's common sense, isn't it? Poke you with a stick, you're gonna cause this man to react. Yeah, it's no different with that. Push his physical limit so far, and he will look for a way out. It's the same aspect. It's the exact same thing. You push a man. Everybody got a limit. Everybody got a limit, but everybody got different levels of will. Are you willing to die for it? Are you willing to lose your sight for it? Are you willing to say? And it's all well and good. Anybody can sit and say, I'm willing to die. I'm willing to lose my sight. I'm willing to do this here. Until you're faced with that, then it's an hard thing. You can't really judge on it. Now, like I said, the boy probably has saved his career. The boy did probably save his career. But his coach could have saved his career in 20 seconds when he walked back to the thing. All he had to say to his coach is, can't see out my eye. Then, done.
Okay. Moving on to Billy Joe Saunders. Alright, so kind of related to this is, Billy Joe posted online that he's alright, he wants to thank the fans for the support, etc. Some people saw that and started making analysations of whether he had the surgery or not, because he looked in good nick. What would you kind of say to the people that are kind of doubting?
I know for a fact he had surgery. I know for a fact he had surgery. I spoke to him a matter of hours, but 14 hours after he come out of surgery. I know for a fact he had surgery. So, listen, let me tell you something. If you don't know someone well enough to know the ins and outs of something, or know for a fact, if you don't know someone well enough to know whether they have actually had surgery or not, then you don't know them well enough to have an opinion on them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it seems like there's a lot of people about trying to kick a man when he's down, and it's a horrible, horrible thing. Like saying he quit, saying this here. Like, let me tell you something. Like I just said there, I'm the first person. Listen, whether someone's my mate or not, whether they're my pal or not, I will speak the truth, because that's all I've ever done in my whole entire life, and I would not hold my tongue for the dear Lord Jesus Christ himself. I will say what's on my mind, whether it meant me dying, and that's just how I am. I don't know no other way to be. But listen, when you come back to a corner and you've got an experienced corner team around you, like world level cornermen, not corner man, corner men, in your corner, and they look at you, and you've got one of the best cut men in boxing in your corner, right? Now, cut man, that's what they do. That's what they do. That's their specialised part of the anatomy, the eyes. Do you know what I mean? It don't. They watch it back. You can see you can see them look at each other, go, it's done. They could feel the bone moving about in his face. It's not a hard thing to, like I just said there. This is why top level fighters, they don't need to pay these men the hundreds of £1,000s that they do to be brave for them. We're going to give you one more round, champ. You know what I'm saying? You pay them to make a decision that you never ever would. And listen, I've been brought up with him from being a baby, from being a child. Like, there's one thing that, listen, I know for 100% fact, as well as myself, as well as I'm sitting and could talk about my own self, there's not one shade of run or quitting him. And that's that. Listen, but people just want to kick a man when he's down. To be fair, it seemed to me like people didn't want the best for him. You know what I mean? Like they just. Billy Joe's someone very much like myself. Can be very, unless you know them and you like Marmite, you either hate or love. There's no middle ground. Like I'll speak for myself. I can be a very easy person to dislike. I know that. I'm not stupid. I know that because I'm opinionated, and I can be cantankerous. Like, but if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I don't lose no sleep over it. No, I know Billy Joe don't lose no sleep over it. Listen, the boy was in there with the best fighter of this generation, possibly. I'll be honest with you. Look, I might have been scoring the fight biasly, but I had Billy Joe round up. And coming into the fight, got caught with an absolute cracker of a shot by a man that hits like an absolute train. Shit happens. It happens. That's it. This is the thing. Boxing is a sport, just like any other sport. There's a winner and there's a loser. Like people look and reading into stuff like unbelievable. Like, how can someone say that he didn't have surgery in his eye? What do they want to see? Like a big scar around here? Is that what they think happens nowadays? Like, I'd like to know what they were looking at. What was he meant to be doing? They're coming out wrapped up like a mummy. Like what do people expect? Like, if you don't know enough about a surgery, or you don't know the ins and outs of a procedure, then, because I don't mean no harm, look, I seen the exact thing that got done to him, or what got done to his eye on X-rays. So it's just disappointing. Do you know what I mean? It's disappointing. People that are meant to be fans of boxing and you treat they treat a two-weight world champion like that. It's horrible. Like, that's the dark side of boxing, unfortunately.
What's Billy Joe's whole mindset at the moment? Obviously, look, he's achieved big things in the game. You know, he's made a lot of money.
He'll fight again. 100% he'll fight again. 100% he'll fight again. Ain't for me to say when, but he will be fighting again. And listen, he will fight again. He will definitely fight again. And I'll have a bet with anybody who becomes a world champion again. I'll have a bet with anybody. But listen, there's people that like that hate, and you get people like your Chris Eubank Juniors and whatever not, just fucking love to kick a man when they're down when they ain't achieved fucking half of what he has achieved.
That'd be a good fight though. I mean, what happened years ago? You know,
what happened years ago, right? I was saying, because I'll say, right, I will say the absolute truth of what happened, right? Billy Joe done his weight like an arsehole for that fight. done his weight like an arsehole, got on the scales like a corpse, done his weight, what's that? I'll tell you what I'll do with you. If the Billy Joe that fought Andy Lee, never mind, if the Billy Joe that fought Andy Lee fought Eubank Jr., he would stop him. He would stop him. No two words. That ain't in it. That's a casual fan fight. But that's for someone who just likes beef, because that's the only thing that fight got. You cannot put them two people on the same ability wise. You can't put them in the same stratosphere. One thing for a fact, what has Eubank Jr. even done to even warrant that conversation? Got his ass kicked by past it George Groves. No offence to George, because listen, I think George has been a brilliant fighter and a brilliant servant to boxing. But listen, George, the truth's the truth and a lie's a lie. You couldn't call the George Groves that beat Eubank Jr. a prime George Groves, could you? Realistically, I wouldn't. So yeah, he ain't done nothing. Let him go fight Golovkin, see how he gets on there. Then that might warrant him a chat, a conversation. But I'll tell you what I'll do with you. If Golovkin brings 30% of what he had in either one of the Canelo fights, he puts Eubank in hospital. That's a fact. That's a fact right there. Whether they like it or not, they know where to come find me if they don't like what I've got to say. And we'll welcome any one of them to come and have a friendly chat or an argumentative one. So Green just across the road there, jump out on that in a second with them. Talking about people quitting and whatever not. Because I know one thing for 100% fact, and I put this out there because I don't like people laughing at people's downfall. Especially when you're a fighter in the same business, you know what's about, whether you don't like a man or not, right? There's one thing that money can't buy, and that's class. Can't buy it. Can't buy class. When you laugh at another man getting his eye socket broke, and whatever not, I got the cheek to sit there and call him a quitter and whatever not. When it's the man that absolutely greased your ass while he was weight drained. Listen. It boils my blood, you know, honestly. Honestly, I'd smash his face right in for him. I ain't got no boxing license to protect, but kick him up and down that carpet like a football. Fool.
What's the prognosis on the return of BJ Saunders?
I reckon he'd be. Listen, I would not be surprised if he's out early New Year. Be nice to see him out in December, like before the New Year's out. Obviously, his eye needs to heal properly and everything. He'll be out sooner than people think. He'll be out sooner than people think. And listen, like I said, I will have that bet. Listen, I back my own, and I stand with my own, with me dying breath. But I'd also be the first person to say if they should call it a day. Not out of nothing else, but for care and love for them. I think if you're a friend to someone, it's your duty to do that. But let me tell you something. When people keep saying like, "Will you see him again?" Why would they not see him again? Like, boy, the boy's one of the best fighters in the world. Like, he's fell short against I know a lot of people hate this because the pound for pound number one. He ain't fucking fell short from Joe Bloggs from Derby. Do you know what I mean? He ain't fell short at English title level. What I was saying, he's fought the pound for pound king. The only person that's bested him in a boxing ring since he turned over has been the number one pound for pound in the world. Like, of course you're going to see him again. Got too much to offer the sport. Too much to offer the sport.
Did he kind of give you any indication of any date or when? Or?
No, he ain't got me no indication of that there. Listen, he's just... The thing is, what people are not understanding is Billy Joe had a long camp for that fight. A lot of time away from his babies. He's just enjoying his family at the minute. Resting, getting what's saying. He's fought, what's saying. That'll be down to MTK. They will keep in contact with him. See how he's feeling. See when he's back in the gym. And whether or not. But he will be back. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's before the end of the year. I generally wouldn't. But I'd look towards early New Year.
Alright. Mr. Tom Little.
Always insightful, eh? Always outspoken.
You just call it how you say it, man.
Listen, you can't do no other though, can you? Really, can you? If you're a man and you've got a set of swingers between your legs, then you got that's your thing. You get out and you say it how it is. If not, if you've got the backbone of a jellyfish, then keep your mouth shut. Full stop. If you can't speak your mind, then you shouldn't speak at all. That's my view anyway. That's how I look at it. Listen, I don't mean to offend people. I don't aim out and think, right, I'm really going to piss people off. I'm only saying what I think. That's all it is. I'm only saying how I see things. And if I know something for a fact, and people's got a speculation on it that's what's saying, then I'll put it right. I won't I'll say no. That's how it is. Whether you want, you can speculate all you want. You speculate, I know. So there you go.
Alright, Tom. It's been a pleasure, man.
God bless my brother.
Thanks for your time. Pep Talk, Tom Little. Subscribe. Thank you.